welcome to another edition of the Plus One Interview. And today we got a really special guest. We got New and South head coach, former Boston Herald All-Scholastic, state champion, Boston University, Mr. Corey Lowe. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you for coming down, man. I know driving over in this area around this time ain't the easiest thing, but
I saw the other way coming down, so I said I'll sit in that after. But wasn't too bad.
You just wrapped up season number 2 as head coach of New and South. You guys made it to the tournament. Just overall, what was kind of your overall landscape or overall point of view of this season? How can you assess the season, I should say?
Before we start, I gotta give a shout out to my assistant Noah, who loves. I told him I was coming on here. He was juiced up, pumped up. He loves, all your YouTube stuff.
Shout out to Noah.
And you help us with a lot of film that we can't get otherwise. So shout out to Noah and just thanks again for having me.
Yes, sir.
Coming into year 2, I knew I had a lot of returning pieces. So I kind of looked at it in steps. So year 1 was just kind of getting my traits and my characteristics, into the program from freshman JV up to varsity, knowing that, it might be a little bumpy. We have one of the harder schedules, I think, around 2 years in a row now. So each year, even last year and this year, we started 1-3. And first year, I was like, I don't know where we're going to come out of this. We were lucky to come out 10-10, but you could see kind of everybody making the progress and doing the things I was asking them to do, which a lot of it is just playing with consistent effort, all the time, and just like putting, we over me, as we talk about sometimes. And then this year again, we started our season Malden Catholic. Then we had Bedford, then we had Newton North, then we had Arlington.
Oh, boy.
And then someone else right after that. So it was a slate 1-3. Everyone's like, man, here we go again. And I remember talking to Noah, one of my assistants. I was like, don't worry, we're going to 15-5. We'll be fine. And we end up, going 16-4. Put together like 2 separate 7-game winning streaks. So it was good to see. Everybody bought into what we were trying to preach and do. So that's where we're at.
Right, and with the landscape of the rankings and all that stuff, you understood of the importance of those early games against those teams, and the beneficial part of it, not only just for like the ranking wise, but also for your players, showing them like you got to play these teams because it'll help you when you get into these moments of big games or down the stretch when you got to make big plays.
Yep. So obviously the power rankings that they were playing Malden, Newton North, Arlington was at top 15 all season. That helped us a ton. And then year 1 we played Malden Catholic. We went there. We got smacked. I think it was like 25 or something like that. And then last year when we played in the first game, it was a 8-point game going into the fourth quarter. So you could see the belief and the progress that we've made. They ended up winning by like 18. We couldn't score in the fourth quarter, but whatever. Still against a team like that, it's like, okay, you see, we belong, with the best. And then both years with Newton North have been close games. Year 1 we lost 3-pointer at the buzzer, and then last year we missed 7 free throws in the fourth quarter and ended up losing by like 6. So again, it's just prove to them, hey, we belong with everybody else. You guys just gotta, what do they do well? They're consistently playing hard, they're consistently communicating, consistently blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, we're doing 6 out of 7, 8 out of 9. We gotta start doing 9 out of 10, whatever it may be, to see that gap shrink. And, we're able, by the end of the year, we're playing really, really well and, able to kind of do that.
How for you as a head coach, what was some of the differences, in what you saw from yourself as a coach from year 1 to year 2?
Calming down. Some people laugh at that, but just kind of being more present in the moment. The hardest thing I think about coaching, especially, I've been coaching like 10 years now, but in the beginning, the hardest thing was realizing like these kids aren't me.
Yeah.
And like why can't you make a left-hand layup? Why can't you go to your left? Why can't you make a post-entry pass? Like, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, getting over that and being like, all right, we got to look at each case individually and how do we make these pieces come together, and I stopped. I think year one, I tried to fit the players into what I wanted to do, opposed to where in year two, it was a lot more, I think, back and forth, between myself, the captains, people in the program about kind of what works, like what will keep me happy, but also what works for what we have. And so that's why we went to like the 5-out motion and a lot more moving, opposed to like ball screens and stuff like that. So
yeah, and I appreciate you said that, because some of the guys I talked to, it was one of the things they said they always had to remind themselves, like, when you're an athlete and a competitor, and you play the sport for so long, like that competitive nature always stays there. So sometimes it shows on the coaching aspect, and you got to take that step back. Like, oh, hold up, I can't check in the game, so let me try to find a way to get these guys to see what I'm seeing, or understand what I'm trying to.
I'm really mad when I use the phrase, right now I care more than you guys. Right, because like you said, my competitive juices are always going, and like I get into it with the refs. I'll be jumping up and down, doing twirls. Like I'm in a defensive stance. I know that's the limit for me now. Like I can't cross the line. You guys got to carry it the rest of the way. And I think year one, learning from what we had coming back, that group would need. I think kids now struggle creating their own kind of juice. So like I never sit. Like if you see a game, I never sit down. I'm always walking up and down the sideline, just interacting, talking to the bench, talking to the refs, talking to whoever, just to stay engaged and energetic. So that way the players always see that and like, okay, coach is up, coach is doing this, we don't sit in timeouts, anything like that. So like we're always ready to go. And I think that kind of eventually wore on until it became just second nature to everyone.
Yeah. Well, was there a particular game, either your first year or this past season, that you saw and you just sat back to yourself? You're like, okay, these guys are getting it. They're starting to get it. It's starting to click for them.
It had to be the start of our first. Kind of 7-game winning streak. We just lost to North, and then we lost to Arlington by like 25. And I knew we weren't 25 points worse than them. Just coming off the emotional city rivalry, whatever you want to call it. And then after that, we had, I think it was Cambridge, who in our league, they're always the standard. And, we had a game with them. It was tight. And, in the year past, we lost 5 or 6 games, I want to say, by 5 points or less. So, we're sitting there. It's like going into the fourth. I'm like, oh, here we go again. But instead of like the turnover we always got or the rebound we couldn't get, we took care of the ball. We got the rebound we needed to get. We got the stop we needed to get. We hit the free throws we needed to get. And I was like, okay, we might be getting it. Then we beat, our rival LS the next game in overtime. And then I'm like, all right, we might be onto something here. So I'm just kind of seeing the corrections being made, the things that cost us games the year before to, now we're kind of being able to get over those hurdles. I think, the sky's the limit. And then kind of the end of the year, we're playing Marshfield, who's a, really good team. I think they were ranked like 11th at that time. We were 14th, going into that last week. They're playing in the Weymouth tournament. And they come on there smacking us like 17-0 to start the game. And I'm like, call a timeout. I didn't like how the refs were doing it. So, I'm like, they're trying to take it from you. Right. I'm like, they don't want you to have it. I get a T on purpose. I tell people, I'm like, we're not having the way this is going. So we come storming back, end up winning the game by like, 5, I think. And I'm like, wow, we really have a chance to do something special, as the tournament starts. So.
Yeah. What did those players learn from the tournament run? Everybody wants to win a state title, but just getting the whole state tournament experience, that's another thing in itself that can help you guys. So, what was some of the learning lessons you think they got from this year's state tournament run?
Well, year one, getting 10-10, and we were lucky to get in the kind of playing game. Losing to Lexington, I think by like 3 at home. So those 7, 8 guys coming back, they had at least a taste of kind of the environment. It was the biggest crowd we had all year, a game we should have won. So coming in this year, it's like, hey, it's not a play-in game. Like, you guys earned the right, for a home game. You've had a great season, but what's hanging over us? Like, Newton South hasn't won a home playoff game or a home playoff game in I think it was like 20 years at that point. I'm like, you're always seen as the little brother in town. Like, what are we going to do to change that? And, it was a really good game with Beverly, where we controlled it a lot of the game. But they made a nice run at the end. And again, I was like, what's going to happen? But we kept our composure, got baskets when we needed them, stops when we needed them. And we were able to prevail from that. And then I felt like that took the chip off the shoulder or the monkey off the back. And, you could kind of see, like, everyone, like, okay, wow, we really have an opportunity here.
Right. Also, how does that, like, also, coaching and then you also doing player development work, right? How do those two kind of coincide and kind of helped you along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I always say, like, if you as an individual can't do a skill, like, you're not going to be able to help your team. So, like, if you can't dribble with both hands, finish with both hands, like, pass to where I need it, as a shooter, the little things, like, we can't all come together, as a team. So, we spend, I want to say, the first 15 minutes of every practice is the exact same for us. It's, warming up, ball handling, passing drills, layup drills, and like I could walk into the gym, and I do sometimes purposely late, just because they know, like, our managers are the best, so they're there, they got the clock, they start it whether I'm there or not. So, like, the guys know, okay, it's the clock start, let's go. So, like, sometimes we sit outside the door and just watch and make sure, our leaders are doing what they're supposed to do. We're doing the things we need to do as a team. They're putting the right effort in, whether we're there or not. And, like, that stuff made me feel really good as a coach. In the beginning, obviously, you got some new guys and, trying to always look like, oh, it's coach here. No. But eventually, like, the leaders took over and, like, no, coach here or not, this is our standard, at Newton South. So.
Yeah. I always say, like, the proudest moments for coaches is, it don't matter if they go on to play at the next level or not. It's just like what they do after they leave. So, some of your guys are going to be going to college to further their education. Just how important is that for you as a head coach to get these guys into colleges and into a position where they can, do something great. It doesn't always have to be sports, but just something great in whatever they choose, whatever path they choose.
Well, I mean, for 98% of the kids who play high school sports, like, they're going to be going to college, for academics, like, not sports related. So it's really, we're using, for the majority of our kids, using sports or teams to help them build characteristics or things that they're going to be able to apply, when they go to school off to college by themselves, or the job they're going to get, in 5 years, whatever that is. So it's really building just like, got to have a routine every day. Like me, if I'm at home, like, and I forget to have my coffee, or, like, I don't get a cold tub or whatever it is, like, my day's, a disaster. It's like, so just helping kids. This is why we start practice the same every day. This is why we do a lot of the same drills, because it's like you got to see the growth in yourself and the things you're trying to do. So just helping them build those kind of skills life skills, then that apply whether you're playing a sport or not. So.
Yeah, definitely. And we can just go back to your time and in their position, your time as a student athlete at New and North. Right, 4 years there, you guys got 2 state titles. You and Anthony Gurley were probably the most talked about backcourt in that time, right? Just what was so special about that group and your time there, those 4 years over there?
I mean, that'll bring us into a bigger conversation, but I think it's similar to Franklin, right? Mm-hmm. Franklin might not have had, obviously we had more skill than that, but they might not have been the most skilled, but those kids have been together for a long time, since travel basketball. Like our New North teams, especially my class, we had been playing travel since 5th grade together. We all went to the same middle school, our core, so we were playing middle school basketball together. So we're getting 5-6 years of learning each other, so I could know where Anthony's going to be or Jason's going to be with my eyes closed, because that's kind of the rapport we've built over the years. So I mean, that played a huge role in it. And then obviously being with him so long, the emotion behind of hey, I'm not going to let my boy down. So going as hard as we went, in practice or, in games or whatever it may be. So.
Yeah, and you guys were at a time, because now we're seeing, kids aren't staying at the same school. Mm-hmm. They're at one school here, one school there, or they go to prep school, right? You guys did it the way you stayed at a local school. Then you both were able to get major Division I scholarships. Anthony going to Wake Forest, you going to Boston University, right? So and a lot of the guys in that class too went on to play, got scholarships, right? And
2 Division I basketball players, 1 Division I football player, 2 D3 basketball players, 1 D3 football player. Mm-hmm. All on both state championship teams. Probably 6 or 7 college basketball players, and then 3 or 4 college football players.
Right.
It's a complicated thing. I'm of the belief, and talking to coaches and being through it, if you're good enough, they'll find you.
Right.
Especially how AAU is now, with the sneakers and the different circuits and the platforms, and we're in probably the most dense talent pool in the country, given in New England. So it's if kids just kind of, I'm always want to go against the trend. So it's if you just trust, a lot of it also is what can you do for me as a coach? Can I put you in the right positions? Can I get on the phone with coaches? And I don't know. Some coaches are all around the state. I can't speak for everyone, but I know myself, I can do those things. Mm-hmm. And I'm still losing 3 kids this year for a variety of reasons, but it's very difficult.
It's very difficult, man. The landscape is changing. Which game, when you think back during that time and during that run, which game kind of stands out to you the most during your time
playing?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's got to be the New Bedford. I think it was the Eastern Mass Finals at UMass Boston.
Oh yeah, that was the one they stopped letting people in at one point, right? Yeah.
There had to be 5,000 people in there, crazy. And it was in the 80s. I think I had 27, Gurley had 25, Rudolph had 30. It was just kind of back and forth game, and we ended up winning because every team needs a glue guy. So our glue guy, always where he needed to be, slid over, took a charge. People in New Bedford still debate it, but you can watch the film. He was there, so take the charge, and it's goes to show it doesn't matter, what talent you have if everyone's not connected and doing the things they need to do. Mm-hmm. Franklin had the kid Aiden who scores, and the other kid who won the defensive player of the year in their conference. He's hey, I'm going to take the best matchup, and that's their role. So everybody, the sooner kids understand their roles, accept their roles, and become the best they can at their roles, it's you help the team.
Yeah. And And also did you play? Was it Coach Jones there at the time?
No,
that was before, way before him.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, he came in like 2012, I think.
Okay.
So a couple years after me, but I had Dennis Wolf for 3 years, and then Patrick Chambers.
Okay.
For 1 year.
All right. Being able to go to college on a scholarship, right? Being able to accomplish one of your goals and playing Division I basketball. There's no experience like the college experience. What about BU was so special? And what got you to BU? What made you decide BU? And how many schools won?
It's a long journey. I originally actually committed to Providence my junior year. Then that coach ended up getting let go, so I reopened my recruitment at the worst time possible, basically going into senior year. So everyone for that immediate time had given their scholarships away. So, one of my options was to go to Brewster, and then kind of just reclass and do that. That's when prep school was used as the extra year.
Right.
And that's how people did it. But I always felt I was ready to play. I was 190 pounds. I didn't need to get stronger. Felt I could play. I didn't need help academically. So I went to visit Duquesne, BU, and talked with UMass Amherst. And then I'm like everybody else. I'm a homebody, man. So I never wanted to go far in the first place.
Yeah.
So BU just fit everything I was looking for. At that point, I never was even thinking about what happens after college.
Right.
Realistic. I'm I don't know if I'm an NBA basketball player, so I'm gonna go get the best academic, degree I can get. And BU, that was that. It was 5 miles from home, so I could get laundry done, pick up food,
right.
All that good stuff.
Yeah. A lot of talks about kind of best duos and stuff. There's guys that came up before you, there's guys that came up after you, even guys during that same time. But what separated you and Anthony from everybody else? What was kind of the things that you guys would say was this is nobody else can see us in this particular area?
Records talk for themselves, man. I mean, he scored 1,800 points. I scored 1,400 points, and I only played 3 years of varsity because I broke my thumb my freshman year. We went in our championship runs, 56-1, 77-7 overall in our high school, 3 years together. So winning talks, I think, a lot. And then just, I don't know, you bring up some duos and it's all right, let's talk the physical statures. I'm a good 6'1.5", Gurley's 6'3". Both could jump out the gym, both could shoot. I was a big guard at 190. He's a little bigger than me, 200. Not little people. So it's for high school especially, it's those are big bodies.
Yeah.
I took the jump ball every year, and only lost one jump ball my whole career. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like any other debate. Everybody's gonna have, whatever. Then they.
Yeah, and how were you guys just able to kind of have the city support you guys and have so many people be able to just see you guys, as you said, from your youth to go, and you guys went on and do great things and playing professionally too and all that. And now you guys are in a different landscape of your life, but that support that you guys had through those times.
Winning solves a lot of things, man. And I think we're all good kids, likable people. I think a group that people could get behind, because we were good in the community. Watched out for the younger kids. I'd have kids coming up to me with sneakers, and I'm signing them like I'm Michael Jordan or something.
Right.
But not having an ego and kind of understanding the moment.
Right.
And just hey, this is really cool. This is something that might not ever happen again. So just live in it, enjoy it. Don't act too big. And I think people kind of appreciated that and whatnot.
Yeah, and you're seeing right now we're seeing a bunch of kids from Boston Boston area, they're all getting heavily recruited. Some are going to go to major schools. Or just the importance of that. How is that? It shows. It's like the foundation that you guys laid out is kind of.
Yeah, man. Listen, people always want to talk about like the West Coast and like New York and all this other stuff. I'm like, if you study and do your research, like Boston area and Massachusetts have always turned out really good basketball players. A lot of them with NBA careers. You look just the guys now, like Georges, Terrence, Bruce. Who else can we go?
You said New York already?
Yeah.
A couple other guys. I can't.
Well, there's like another 3 or 4 with injuries.
Yeah.
Like,
There was one of the guys from that was at UConn. I think he's in the league now. He's
you could go forever. It's like, it's nothing new.
Right.
I mean, then you look at the history. I've been watching the Celtic City thing, and it's like, Celtics were the first to have, a black player, the first to have a all-black starting lineup, first to have a black coach. Like, give and don't take, away from like the issues Boston has had, but also on the other side, like they've done a lot of good for sports and kind of pushing, people of color forward in sports. So.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's the off season, but not the off season for you. And we'll just like, what are you during this time? What are you up to now?
Straight AU, man. So I at AU twice a week. Clinics and small group training. The rest of the week, just trying to get the next group, ready and teaching, as I say, trying to master the basics for these kids, because I think a lot of them are skipping step A and trying to get right to, step C with the Euro steps and step backs. And I'm like, again, you can't make a left-hand layup. You can't play off 2 feet. Like, you can't make a post-entry pass. Let's reel it back, like, master the basics, and then I guarantee everything else becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. It's all down to the fundamentals. It always comes down to the fundamentals.
I always say, I scored almost 2,000 points in college, and I can count the number of times I went behind my back or through my legs. It's like, you got to be efficient, you got to know angles, you got to be physical, and you got to take advantage of the opportunities you get.
Yeah, definitely. And then you also got the Summer League, right?
The CeeLo Summer League at GAN. We're looking for one more team. We had one drop, so if anybody wants to come in Waltham.
We got a new coach at Lynn English. He might need to put his team in there.
I was talking to Elvin. I need it because we're supposed to play because we're supposed to have a home and away.
Yeah.
So he said he'd connect me once the coach is in. So maybe I'll go through you to get that.
Oh, I'll get you the info right after this.
Yeah.
After this.
They owe us a home game.
Oh, yeah. If they want to get in contact with you, please let them know the socials and all that good stuff. It's your camera right there.
My socials, CeeLo PD on Instagram. Corey, I don't even know, Corey. Corey, there it is. Coach Lowe. On Insta, Twitter. Yeah, I'm honestly really bad. I gotta get better at it. So I'm working on it. But yes, Coach CeeLo 13.
All right, man. Hey, man, appreciate you for coming down here, man.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. And also, if you don't know about him, please just simple Google search or YouTube. There's some stuff on YouTube. I'm Colin Ball. You watching Plus One. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen.